What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another knife review slash overview to do with you guys. This is the Boker Kalashnikov automatic. Not just any Kalashnikov though. This is actually the drop point in CTS XHP. I picked this knife up for about 60, I want to say 60 bucks, which for CTS XHP is very impressive. I was very happy about that. This particular one is black aluminum and stonewashed. They make a bajillion versions of this. The standard being AUS 8 and the exact same grade of aluminum, and I want to say it runs between $40 and $45. But as far as like the blade coatings, you know, I've seen bronze and I've seen black and I've seen satin finish, I've seen Damascus, I've seen, you know, a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Also, tons of different colors of aluminum, way too many to name. This knife is very famous. It's very overdue for this channel, and this is the first time I've ever handled one. So we're going to get into my thoughts here. Let's do some measurements first. Overall length of the Kalashnikov is about it's a little over 7 inches. It's like 7 1/8. It's weird. And how about the blade length? Total blade length on the Kalashnikov, about 3.3 inches. The cutting edge is right at 3 inches. How about some size comparisons here real quick? Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about the Paramilitary 2? PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about the XM18? Hinderer XM18 coming in at 8.25 inches overall. How about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Delica. Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. So it's a little bit bigger than the Spyderco Delica, and I don't want to say a little bit smaller than the Benchmade, but it's in between those two knives there. Interesting. Let's weigh it real quick. This is an automatic knife, so I'm going to close it with 2 hands just to be safe. Overall weight, 3.53 ounces. Let's give it another go. 3.53 ounces, so 3.5 ounces. That's to be expected. Aluminum being lightweight and the whole knife being fairly small overall. It's not completely unexpected. Blade stock thickness on this guy looks to be in line with the Benchmade. Perhaps slightly thinner. Yeah, tip gets pretty thin there, but I'd say it's about 0.11, 0.12, probably 0.11, something like that. So anyways, this is an automatic knife. You push the button here and it fires the blade out. Before we get too far in this video, these knives have issues with legalities, you know, depending on where you are. That's, you know, I'm not giving any new information to anybody. If you're considering purchasing one of these, make sure you check your local laws first. Because in some places these are just illegal to own. In some places they're illegal to carry. Like Nick Shabazz said the other day, or on a video I was watching, he said sometimes they're illegal to think about. So I agree with him though. I don't understand why some places find that a knife that fires like this is less dangerous than a knife that fires like this. But whatever, you know, that's just it's the way that it is. Anyways, little automatic knife. These knives are notorious for being just extremely dependable and very simple. You know, they're the size that a lot of people like. They're a weight that a lot of people like. It's a simple automatic knife. They're inexpensive, and they seem to, you know, hold up. At least they've left the impression with the knife community that they hold up really well. These knives are not made in the United States. They are a foreign-made knife, but I couldn't pass this one up. You know, honestly, I wasn't super interested in paying 40 bucks for AUS 8. I'm not really interested in AUS 8 all the way around. To me, it's kind of a disappointing steel, but some people don't mind it. But 60 bucks for CTS XHP. CTS XHP is one of my favorite steels ever. If you watched my video on my top 5 favorite steels of all time, CTS XHP is definitely one of my favorites. So I had to pick this guy up. Awkward texturing that's actually similar to the background here. That's interesting. You have these little lines that just sort of help separate your fingers when you're holding onto the knife. Ergonomically, it honestly feels really good. Generally, I don't like knives that force my fingers into position. And the same is, I'm feeling the same way about this. I don't like that it forces my fingers into those positions, but I can't deny that it feels comfortable when it's there. I mean, it does put you in a natural position to use this knife like a knife, so I can't complain. You've got a little bit of jimping up top. It's going to secure your fingers. That's about that. The blade is ground in a way that I would imagine would be very slicey, given that it's almost completely flat ground. You have a little teeny tiny bit of a swedge up there. A nice semi-reflective stone-washed finish. They've got some billboarding. It doesn't look too bad, so I'm fine with that. It does feel very sharp, very, very thin. I imagine pretty thin behind the edge, though. I don't have the tool to measure it. Someday soon, hopefully, I'll get that so I can show you guys. But anyways, overall, aesthetically, this knife is it's attractive to me in a simple way. I'm not the biggest fan of the handles, but as far as like the silhouette goes of the overall knife, I think it looks really good. I also find this pivot interesting, how they do this decorative pivot. I like how that looks. You don't generally see that. I imagine it'll rub off over time, but it certainly doesn't look bad. The button is recessed. I don't feel at risk of accidentally deploying it. You really have to deliberately push that button to get it to deploy. And when it does deploy, it's snappy. Absolutely. This fires close to what I expect from ProTech. So yeah, it feels good. You've got Spyderco style flat screw heads there. You've got a little lanyard hole. You've got a couple of standoffs back here, and then I don't know what to think about that pocket clip, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I hate that pocket clip. It looks like a piece of bacon, I don't know what's going on. I don't like it. It's a deep carry clip, and it does its job. I'll give it that. It definitely does its job. It just looks weird. It looks like a pocket clip that's been bent out multiple times, and someone hammered it back in place, and they kept bending it out and hammering it back in place. I don't really like the pocket clip. The construction of the knife, the materials used are great. XHP, the aluminum knife is centered. Deployment is snappy. Fit and finish is good enough for a $60 knife. I'm not seeing anything that looks bad. There's no real, I wouldn't say anything gives me a hot spot. Maybe a little tiny bit the clip, but everything's well rounded. It's not funky to hang on to or anything like that. I'm happy with that. Here's what I'm not happy about. Not a lot of up and down. So I know that push button automatic knives are notorious for always having a little teeny tiny bit of blade play. They have a little teeny tiny bit up and down, and maybe a little teeny tiny bit side to side, especially under $100. Once we get up into Microtech and ProTech, I don't like to see that at all. Benchmade automatic knives led me to believe that they're all just like that. Then I handled a ProTech, or one of my first ProTechs, and a side opening Microtech, and it had no blade play whatsoever. So then I had a new standard for my really expensive stuff, but under $100, I expect a little teeny tiny bit up and down and a little teeny tiny bit side to side. The side to side on this knife, it's pretty substantial. And I don't like that. I don't know if they're all like that. I tried to adjust the pivot a little bit and get some of that out. It didn't work. It made the action super grindy and tight. And when I loosened it back up, I just got more blade play. So I was unable to actually remedy that. Maybe not all of the Kalashnikovs are like that. Maybe it's just this one. That's a real disappointment to me, because I actually planned on using this knife, turning it into an automatic beater, because I don't have an automatic beater. And I thought, man, $60 for CTS XHP and aluminum, and it's an automatic knife, and it's a good size. Yeah, absolutely. If it just had a little bit less, I wouldn't be bothered by it. But you can hear it. I don't like that. So unfortunately, this review is not going to be super bright for the Kalashnikov. Do I still think it'll function and work just fine? Yes. But as far as that locking mechanism goes, and the pivot and all that stuff, When there's that much slop, I just expect it to get worse over time. And I don't know if I want to deal with that, especially with a knife that deploys automatically. I don't know if I really want to mess with that and kind of cringe every single time I push that button to open it. So that was kind of disappointing. This was kind of a disappointing $60 purchase. I hope that this is just a bad example. I hope that the other Kalashnikovs are not like this. I know that people swear by them, and that people really, really like them, and they seem to be, dependable knives, at least as far as the knife community is concerned. I have not had any misdeployments, and it certainly feels like it locks into place in the closed position. And it looks like, it's a purpose-built knife. It looks like they didn't go for flash, they just went for function, and I generally really appreciate that. We didn't talk about the case that it came in, and it's back in another room, but it comes in it's like a Kalashnikov magazine looking box. It's kind of interesting. That was kind of fun to open up, and maybe I should show it on camera, but I feel like you guys have all seen this. I mean, almost everybody watching this has probably already seen a review on this knife because it's been around forever. Like I said, I'm super late to the game. This is cool. I don't know if it'll get used, or I might get rid of it. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this thing yet, unless I can figure out a way to get rid of that play, which I don't really know if I want to devote that much time to. It might just be something it's just easier to get rid of for me, but kind of a disappointment, and don't read too much into it. If you are watching this video and you collect Kalashnikovs and you love them, and all of yours have been dependable, then that's fine. You should keep loving the knife, because other than the blade play, I think it's a great knife. And if you still want to buy one of these, despite me saying, I'm a little disappointed with the blade play, then go ahead. 40 to 60 bucks. You're getting up there to the point where it's generally considered expensive by the majority of people. It's like after you cross that $50 line, you're like, but, if you can justify it, then go ahead. Not my cup of tea. This isn't going to be a knife for me. But don't let me stop you if this is something that you want to love or already love. But that's going to be pretty much it today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.